Good day. I'm gonna tell a story about my mother's death and my eventual healing that I had 20 years later after her death. But first I want to read a part of the Bible and talk about some of the things that I've repented for and I'm living my redemption for at the moment. This is Matthew 19:3. Some Pharisees came and tried to trap him with his questions. Should a man be allowed to divorce his wife from just any reason? Haven't you read the scriptures? Jesus replied. They recorded that from the beginning God made them male and female. And he said, this explains why a man leaves his father and his mother and is joined to his wife. The two are united in one. Since there is no longer two but one, let no one split apart what God has joined together. Then why did Moses say in the law that a man could give his wife a written notice of divorce and send her away? They asked. Jesus replied, Moses permitted divorce only as a concession to your hard hearts, but it's not what God had originally intended. I tell you this, whoever divorces his wife and marries someone else commits adultery unless his wife has been unfaithful. So, before I tell my story, I am still married to the most amazing woman, and she's my twin flame because it's like starstruck lovers. She's on the other side of the world right now, and that's just what God intended for us at this point in time. And because how the world is at the moment, we have to just pray that we are united or that God knows a better way for us. A few years back, Melanie and I broke up. And after some time broken up, I met another woman. And so I did adultery, and we were apart for a while already, and I'm not making any excuses, but we were still married. And after we ended up getting back together again, and she helped me through a really dark time, the dark night of the soul that I went through, and I have some videos on what I went through in that. I'll put one of them up here. But she's my angel, and she's what led me to my feminine side, or a trust for a woman in general. And I think that was a part of the trauma that I have and had, especially that I was acting through before because of my mother's death. And I was with lots of women, and I just never really trusted any of them, and we never got close enough to gain that trust for the feminine. And when I found my feminine side after trusting the feminine, that's when I really found God. And that's like an important part about when a man finds, this is the masculine, when he finds his feminine side. It doesn't mean he's going to be fully balanced, because God made us the way we are, and some people are really masculine, some people are really feminine. And myself, I'm very masculine, but I had to find my feminine side for me to understand truly what that was all about. And so I've repented for my transgression against her and against God for that I have done. And now we still are living like emotionally we're still married. We don't have emotionally and spiritually we're still together, but we don't have our bodies in the flesh here, which is, it's an interesting relationship because we actually still support each other so much. We are each other's rock still, and she's still my angel. And yeah, she's still the only woman I've ever met that I would trust to have children with. And so that's Melanie, and she's the one that does these like paintings up here and the angel up here. And yeah, anyways, I'll start telling you about, so after my mother's death, I spent a lot of time fishing right after she died, and just kind of escaping through fishing. Like I went fishing every day and became tying all these flies and just like riding my bike around, just like escaping from what happened, I guess, through fishing and nature. And I guess I started to probably notice little aspects of God when I was in my fishing, and I probably didn't know it yet. So after I became about 18, I started to play music and smoke pot and chase women, and then that was my distraction. And so I did that for a long time, and then played in lots of bands and just was kind of drinking and disrespecting women as they were also disrespecting me. It was kind of, we were both living in that free sex kind of world whenever. So I look at those times, and I'm so glad that I am free of that now, and I'm glad I'm living my redemption. A few years back, I started to play with entheogens, but I started to use entheogenic medicines and do some deep meditations and write a lot of things, and I ended up writing a book in one of my experiences, and came out and had the inspiration to write a whole book. And it was about from what the last time I saw my mother and until like recent at the time. And after another one of my experiences, a very light ayahuasca experience, I saw my mother on her deathbed. And when my mother actually died, I was far away and I didn't see her when she died. So, but in this vision, I saw her, and she was very upset, not for her own life, but she was worried about us, her children. And that's when I forgave her. And then when I forgave her, I was like, well, what am I forgiving her for? And I realized, wow, I'm angry with my mother. I've been angry with my mother since she's died. And I didn't actually even know that. And that was a big, huge boulder off my shoulder. And so I started to write that book, and really I started to talk with my family about things and trying to see how they were about things, and then that kind of drove them away from me. And I think they started to think I was crazy a little bit, just because I was set free. Like I was living a new life. I was back playing music with love again. I was writing a book. It was the hugest weight off my shoulder. And so we just lost that. We couldn't be around each other, because what I was set free from is what still is on their shoulders. And I know that. And so that's why I didn't see them for months and months. And in that time, in December 2020, I had a huge awakening, and I had a huge experience that realized how important things are for us to speak, and it showed me where we were going, and I had amazing visions. Um, since all of this happened, it was like finding Melanie and finding a woman that I trusted, so that I wanted to be a better man for. So I became that better man. And then years later, finding out that I'm still holding on to anger from my mother, and letting that go, it freed up my mind. And right when those huge solar flares hit the earth, and it was pretty much 2 years ago to this day, actually. And I'm being praised. I've gone through some hell, and I think I'll go over some of that in another video. But after my awakening, I also had like a billionaire trying to invest in my company, a whole bunch of crazy things, and then some gang stalking, a whole bunch of stuff happened, ended up in the mental institution, but that's for another episode. But I wanted to first talk about my mother, and how I was freed after 20 years from that trauma, and how I still have the most amazing and powerful woman by my side, even though she's on the other side of the world in Austria. And so I'm like, thank God and praise God that I still have that amazing relationship with that amazing woman. And this is a little representation of her, because she's an angel. And I'm gonna play a song, and it's called No Fire, but it's actually a song that I wrote before I met Melanie. And so I'm gonna light up this candle, because this represents the fire that still burns in my heart for Melanie, and also this represents the my loves and my forgiveness to my mother. And this song I'm about to do is about how when we can try and try and try sometimes when you're in a situation or in a relationship with somebody, and if you're trying too hard, then you're not being who you are, and you're never going to be able to light the fire. And so sometimes we're trying to light the match in the rain, and we have to know when God doesn't, that's not the intention He has for you. And I really appreciate when people hit the like button, and because that helps get this message out there. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And yeah, thank you very much, and I love you all very much.
surrounded by the sharks. We should have known here that we'd never find a spark to light that fire in our heart, to burn through the night. Every time we think it's lit, it slips out of sight. I try to light a match in the rain. I try to light your flame. I try, now I'm to blame. I did not know we were playing this game. I try to light a match in the rain. I try to light your flame. I try, now I'm to blame. I did not know we were playing this game. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 oh. Fire. Sometimes we just can't make fire. Oh, oh, oh. Don't start the fire unless it's gonna stay burning. Don't start that fire unless it gets you burning. Oh, oh, oh. With the fire, oh, the fire, burn out the fire.